Okay, so what I'm doing, it's not going to cut quite as easy as with polymer. It separates nice and cleanly, and I didn't get a piece quite the same size, and that's okay. I'm just going to trim this up so that we have two square rectangular pieces. Either shape works. We're going to actually take this and just put this back in here. Here. Okay, Michelle, teacher's cut. And then this one is Okay. You can have a seat too if that's more comfortable for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this on a diagonal bias, just the same way we would with the traditional Skinner blade. Nothing different here, just a different type of polymer clay. So if you don't have access to an oven,
do you have another baby?
Yeah. If you don't have access to an oven, this is really good. And the same thing, I'm pretty sloppy with my gradient blends because a lot of people think you have to keep everything real pristine. But when you're blending, it's actually going to blend any contamination away. So I just do the same thing I would as if it were oven-baked polymer. And mush it together a little tin here. It's actually in here a little bit better than probably. And on the floor, just set it in the pasta machine just as you would. We're going to roll it through. And are you familiar with this technique? Yes. And you're familiar with this technique? Okay.
A little bit.
To get a true color gradient, I'm going to keep folding this and blending on a diagonal bias. Now, this is where people get confused. When you're making a gradient or a Skinner blend, as we know it, they might insert it the wrong way after they fold it. And the way that you always know, it's a very simple trick that you can watch for when you're doing a gradient blend. You always fold it so that the colors on the outer edges are identical. You might be doing this with 3 or 4 colors of clay. You don't have to just do 2. And you can do, there's all kinds of variants and special effects you can do with this basic concept. But as long as with every pass, before you put it in the machine, you fold it half. And if you're folding it, if you see as before you roll it through, that you've got multiple colors that are touching along the edges, you're doing it wrong. So you fold it, and it doesn't matter if you switch it around. The color can be on this side, and then it can go on that side. In fact, I recommend flipping it around. The reason is, you see how it's coming out a bit distorted? That's because even though these are one of the best tools you can have for any kind of clay work, there can be a slight fraction of a millimeter in width difference. And that's just something that can't be really controlled. Because of that, it's going to stretch the clay a little thinner on one end than the other. So by flipping it back and forth as it continues to spread along the length of the sheet, you'll find that you have less distortion in that sheet. So just to where it comes out wider and where it comes out thinner. So what this tells me is this is a little bit thinner on this side than it is on this side. So just by folding it and flipping it around, you can start to see the gradient come out. Now, generally speaking, when you're doing this type of technique, what you want to do is make sure you're using enough of the clay, whether it's the Makins air dry or if you're working with a traditional polymer, and it's going to spread across the length of the rollers. Well, let's say you don't need a big gradient. You can actually shorten the rollers by inserting a little wooden dowel and just go through here, or even a magnet. The magnet needs to be covered. It should be covered with plastic or with clay, so that it doesn't scratch your work. And what that will do is, in essence, make it a shorter clay machine. But you can start to see the gradient coming out, and there's a lot of different things you can do with this. There's a lot of techniques where you don't have to go until the blending is complete and smooth. That's what I'm going for. Or you can stop in the middle, and there's lots and lots of techniques and special effects that you can do. I can probably go here for 3 days showing you just special effects with gradient blends. But
I don't think they let us.
They won't let us. We're actually leaving tomorrow night. So what I will do, that's right, it's a long walk to Las Vegas. So see how I'm controlling the width of it just by flipping it back and forth. Here's the other reason people have problems with distortion across the width. The fold goes first, that's correct. But a lot of people will put it into their clay machine and they'll just put it in, they'll be holding it from the edges. And they'll put it in like that. So when it comes out, it's going to stretch out the edges the most. So it's going to look like bunny ears. Okay? Well, I think it was bunny ears. Mine usually is. But whatever, we just don't want horns, we don't want
But they may not stock all the SKUs like that.
The other reason that people find that they get a lot of distortion is when they fold it, sometimes they put it in like this. They're holding like this and they're putting it like that. So one of the tricks is, as it's reached the full length of the rollers, not only do we want to, flip it back and forth, but by making sure you don't have to crease the bottom fold. The machine will do it for you. But what you want to do is make sure that it's pressed down along the roller length. That's the trick. So I'm only going to do a few more passes because I'm just about happy with where it's at. And then I'm going to do just some fun little designs with what I've created here. Maybe a few different things.
The owner Frank is here. Actually, Frank is here.
So let's say I want to cover a book or an outline. And this stuff would here, you can use a glue like a poly bonder, but it will actually form and dry and harden around an Altoid box. It also, you can use white craft glue also to adhere it. And it takes paints, it takes colored pencils, it takes markers very well. A lot of times I'll tint transfers. You can do toner-based transfers. Okay, so just a few more passes. And then I'm going to take a little bit